Hello everyone. It's great to see you again in today's video. That morning, Jack woke up early when everyone was still asleep. He put on a black apron and went into the kitchen alone to prepare breakfast for the whole family. He carefully laid out each ingredient on the table. His skillful hands sliced onions, cut tomatoes. Every action was neat and focused. The sound of knives clacking together with the aroma of vegetables made the kitchen unusually warm. When the pot of water on the stove started to boil, Jack gently lifted the lid, checked and seasoned it carefully. His face lit up with simple joy. The aroma from the kitchen woke Tu Tien up. She walked down from upstairs and smiled brightly when she saw Jack cooking in the kitchen. Tu Tien walked closer to Jack and smiled as she watched him busy. Jack also turned to look at her. They exchanged affectionate glances. Tu Tien asked him why he woke up so early today. He answered her that he wanted to wake up early to cook breakfast for the whole family. Then he told Tu Tien to sit at the table and wait for him to finish cooking. Jack took out large bowls from the cupboard and carefully placed them on the kitchen table. Then he gradually scooped the contents of the pot into each bowl. Tu Tien couldn't sit still, so she stood up to help Jack. The atmosphere in the kitchen suddenly became filled with happiness. A moment later, Jack's mother also woke up and she went downstairs following the aroma coming from the kitchen. She sat at the table happily watching Jack and Tu Tien preparing breakfast together. She told Jack that yesterday he worked until late and today he woke up early to cook breakfast for the whole family. She asked Jack what he wanted to treat everyone to today. Jack smiled and said he wanted to cook a hot bowl of pho for his loved ones to recharge their energy for a new day. Breakfast today was not just simple dishes, but also Jack's heart for his family, sending love through every small action in the familiar kitchen. After speaking, Jack also scooped up bowls of delicious pho. He and Tu Tien skillfully brought them to the dining table and both sat down to eat breakfast. In the cozy kitchen, Jack's whole family gathered around the breakfast table. The hot bowls of pho gave off a fragrant aroma, the steam rising, making everyone feel delicious. Everyone was smiling and chatting happily while picking up food. Jack's mother had just eaten a few bites when she happily nodded and kept praising her son's increasingly excellent cooking skills. Tu Tien looked at Jack with proud eyes. Jack smiled and said that if everyone found it delicious, he could wake up early every morning to cook breakfast for the whole family. The laughter rang out loudly, mixed with the sound of chopsticks and spoons hitting the bowls, creating a happy, simple but warm family scene. Then Jack's mother asked the two of them if they planned to go anywhere today. Tu Tien said that there was a lychee garden nearby that was being harvested and she wanted to go there to buy some to take to the market to sell. Jack turned to look at Tu Tien and told her that today he would just stay home to work. When she finished harvesting, she would call him and he would come out. Then they both went into the farm together. Tu Tien happily agreed. Jack's mother also told Tu Tien to be careful when harvesting because it had just rained, and the road was very slippery. When going up the hill, she had to be careful not to fall. Tu Tien obediently listened to Jack's mother. When the whole family had finished eating, Tu Tien cleaned up the dishes and took them to wash. Jack sat down to talk with his mother. She asked Jack how things were going on the farm. Jack told his mother about the progress of the work on the farm, and then he promised to take her to the farm to play one day. Hearing her son say that, she was very happy. The two talked for a while. Then Tu Tien finished washing the dishes and sat down to talk with Jack and his mother. Jack's mother told Tu Tien that if she wanted to go harvesting, she should leave early and then come back. She also told her to go harvesting nearby, but not too far away. Carrying heavy loads would make her tired. Jack sat next to her and told her to go harvest and then go to the market to sell. When she finished, call him to pick her up. Then Jack suddenly remembered and told her to stop by the clothing store to buy her father-in-law some new clothes while at the market because he noticed that since he moved to the farm, he only had 2 sets of clothes and he wanted her to buy him a few sets to change into. Hearing Jack say that, Tu Tien felt very happy. She complimented him for being so thoughtful and careful, even though she was absent-minded and didn't think about this matter. Luckily, he reminded her. Then Tu Tien said that when she went to the market, she would buy him some clothes, and she also asked Jack and his mother's permission to go upstairs to change clothes and go harvest early. Jack watched Tu Tien go upstairs and he smiled brightly. When Tu Tien left, Jack's mother told him to stop by the grocery store to buy Tu Tien's father-in-law some food to bring inside. Jack nodded and listened to his mother's instructions. Then, Jack raised his hand to look at his watch and asked his mother's permission to go into his room to work. When he got to the office, Jack sat at his desk and turned on his familiar computer. But he didn't rush to work. He sat down and thought slowly. Jack thought about how Tu Tien's mother-in-law had promised him last time that she would give him information about Tu Tien's parents. But until today, she still hadn't contacted him. Jack was worried about whether he had been tricked by her or not, but he still tried to wait for her to contact him. After thinking for a while, Jack continued working. Tu Tien walked on the long concrete road with rows of trees on both sides of the road. On her back was a familiar bamboo sling. Tu Tien walked closer to a man who was busy loading baskets of red fruit onto a cart. The red fruit was lychee. Today, Tu Tien wanted to come here to harvest some of this fruit to sell at the market. She walked up to greet him and then asked him if he was the owner of this lychee hill. Today, Tu Tien came here at the same time as his family was also harvesting lychees. Tu Tien tried a bunch of lychees in her hand and then asked the garden owner to sell her some so she could take them to the market to sell. He immediately agreed and told Tu Tien to go up the hill to pick the fruit herself. Tu Tien walked into the lychee garden, surrounded by lychee trees laden with ripe red fruit. She put down the bamboo basket on her shoulder, and Tu Tien gently lifted the green leaves, revealing clusters of red lychees sparkling in the sun. Her face was radiant with joy, her eyes shining with delight as she selected each bunch of lychees that were ripe, plump, and sweet. Tu Tien gently reached up, and each bunch of ripe red lychees was gently picked down by her. The plump, bright red lychees were shining in the early morning sunlight, standing out among the lush green foliage. Tu Tien carefully picked away the excess leaves to leave the ripe red lychees, one hand holding the lychee clusters and the other picking the lychees, her hands quickly breaking one bunch of lychees after another. Each bunch of lychees picked down was not only the sweet fruit of the season, but also a simple happiness that made Tu Tien's steps more bustling. When the bunches of lychee were full, Tu Tien brought them to the bag she had spread out. She put the bunches of lychee on top and put her bamboo basket aside. Then she sat down and took out her cloth hat to fan herself to relieve her fatigue. After resting for a while, Tu Tien continued her work. She picked up the leaves, leaving only the ripe red lychees. Then she neatly arranged them in her bamboo basket. Although she was tired, Tu Tien's face always had a smile. The rustling sound of the leaves combined with her bright smile created a scene that was both peaceful and full of life. The bunches of bright red lychees were gradually neatly arranged in the basket. On Tu Tien's face shone joy. Her lips smiled slightly when the lychee basket was full. This was the sweet fruit of nature. She folded the bag and carefully put the bamboo basket string on her shoulder. Because the lychee basket was a bit heavy, Tu Tien asked for help from a gardener next to her. Having come to the market to help Tu Tien skillfully carry the heavy lychee basket on her back, she carefully walked out of the garden. When she got outside, Tu Tien went to the garden owner. She slowly put the lychee basket on the ground and told him to get a scale to weigh the lychee she had just picked. The garden owner brought a scale for both of them to carry the basket to weigh. When the weight was clear, the garden owner also gave Tu Tien a reasonable price. Everyone reached a consensus. Tu Tien took out the money from the brocade bag and gave it to the owner. Then she asked him to put the basket of cloth on her back so that she could carry it to the market to sell. Tu Tien's flexible legs walked on the long road to the nearest market. Tu Tien carried a heavy basket of lychees on her back and went to the market. She went to a small corner of the market. She slowly lowered the basket on her back and took out a bag that she had prepared in advance and spread it on the floor. She picked up bunches of ripe red lychees and placed them neatly on top to wait for people to come and buy them. In no time, the bunches of red lychees, plump and full of sweet fragrance, attracted many people to stop by. As soon as they were displayed, someone came to buy them. Tu Tien quickly helped the customer choose the delicious lychees, and then she took a plastic bag and gave it to the customer to hold the lychees. More and more customers came to buy lychees. Everyone wanted to choose fresh and delicious lychees for themselves. Tu Tien skillfully selected each ripe fruit for the customers. Her hands quickly put the lychee bag on the scale, a bright smile always on her lips, making the atmosphere even warmer and happier. Tu Tien's lychee place was always crowded, people coming and going busily. Anyone passing by was attracted by the bunches of bright red lychees, plump and sparkling in the sun. People standing to choose, people waiting to weigh. The cheerful voices and laughter mixed with the sales calls of the vegetable vendors next door, creating a lively rural market scene. Tu Tien always had her hands on choosing fruits, her mouth smiling warmly in response to customers, making everyone love her even more and excited to buy to support her. Looking at the full cloth bags being handed to customers one by one, her heart also filled with happiness because of everyone's support. In no time, Tu Tien's fabric was sold out. She happily folded the bag and put it in the basket, then stood up to go home. She went into the market to find a clothing store to buy some new clothes for her father-in-law. Tu Tien walked around the market and finally found a store that sold men's clothes. She carefully chose a nice set of clothes for her father-in-law. She picked up the dirty shirt and looked at it. When she liked it, she took it to the counter to pay. While standing at the checkout, Tu Tien saw that there were still many things for sale around the store, and suddenly she had an idea of buying Jack a gift. Tu Tien immediately went inside to look carefully, thinking in her head about what item she should choose as a gift for Jack. Her gentle eyes stopped for a long time in front of a gift that she believed Jack would like. Tu Tien picked up a handbag. She thought that the bag Jack was using now was old, so she would buy Jack this new bag. After a while of hesitation, she smiled slightly and picked up the bag, holding it in her hand as if she was holding something precious. Tu Tien brought the bag back to the checkout counter and told the owner that she wanted to wrap it into a gift. The owner then pointed her to where there were many types of paper used to wrap gifts. Tu Tien looked carefully and then chose the color of paper that matched Jack's gift. Tu Tien sat in a corner of the shop. In front of her was the gift she had chosen for Jack. She put the briefcase in a box that the shop owner had prepared for her. Tu Tien carefully wrapped the gift. Her skillful hands slowly folded each edge of the paper, smoothed each fold meticulously, as if afraid that even the slightest carelessness would reduce the meaning of the gift. Her eyes shone with gentleness, filled with silent affection. Each ribbon tied was like a message, a love that she put all into it. To Tu Tien, the gift was not simply a gift, but also her whole heart, wrapped in every small detail, dedicated to Jack. She sent all her feelings, sincerity, and simple wishes. Just seeing Jack happy, her heart was warm and joyful. After wrapping the gift, Tu Tien went to pay to leave. She intended to put the gift in the bamboo basket, but suddenly thought that she would ruin the gift, so she carefully held the gift in her hand. On the way to the market, Tu Tien passed by a cake shop. She smelled the delicious smell of the cake and stopped to buy some cake. The shop owner gave her a piece of cake to try. Tu Tien had just put the cake in her mouth and chewed a few pieces when she felt uncomfortable and nauseous. Tu Tien quickly paid for the cake and left. Jack was working at home. He raised his hand to check the time and saw that it was late. He guessed that Tu Tien was probably on her way home. Jack immediately took out his phone and called Tu Tien. He asked her if she had finished her work yet. Tu Tien answered Jack that she was on her way home. Hearing Tu Tien say she was on her way home, Jack made an appointment to meet Tu Tien at a place near the market. He told her to wait there and he would pick her up. Jack immediately put his work aside, stood up to change clothes and go pick up Tu Tien. In another place, Tu Tien's ex-husband, following his mother's instructions, went to a small house. He slowly walked inside and called out to find the owner. An old woman came out of the house and asked who he was looking for. He said he was the son of her old friend Tui's mother and had come here to ask her for a favor. The old woman immediately recognized him and invited him to sit at the table and drink some water. The two of them sat down at the table without delay. He immediately told the old woman that he had come here to ask her for information about his wife's biological parents, Tu Tien. The old woman said that his mother had called and talked to her about this matter, but the story about Tu Tien's biological parents was a long time ago, and now that she was old, she couldn't remember very clearly. The old woman recalled and told him that one rainy night her husband had brought home a little girl, about 2 years old. He had brought the girl home and given her to her. He had given her a wad of money and told her to take care of her, and then he had left immediately. He had been gone for a long time and had not returned yet. As for the child, she was surprised and did not understand what had happened. She did not know whose child it was that her husband had brought her home to raise. At that time, she only saw a necklace and a ring around the girl's neck. She could only follow her husband's instructions to raise a child she did not know. Hearing the old woman say that, he immediately looked disappointed because with the little information she said like that, it was impossible to cheat Jack's money. Then he tried to ask if the old woman remembered any more valuable information. The old woman shook her head and said that was all she knew. Then she suddenly remembered Tu Tien's old ring. She said that ring would surely help him in finding his wife's birth parents. He immediately told the old woman to go find that ring and show it to him. The old woman slowly walked into the room and took out a small jar. From inside she took out a jade green ring. This was a keepsake of Tu Tien when he was young. The old woman showed him the ring. He picked it up and looked at it carefully, then he muttered that he didn't know if this ring would be helpful to his mother and son's plan. He thought he should take this ring home and discuss the next plan with his mother. He turned to the old woman and asked her to let him bring this ring back to Tu Tien. The old woman agreed, but she was afraid that he would sell this ring, so she told him to bring it home to his wife and not to sell it. He smiled slightly and said that he loved his wife very much. This was his wife's keepsake, so there was no way he could sell it. When he had tricked the old woman's trust to get the ring, he stood up and walked away. As he walked, he said that he had this ring and he had to think of a way to trick Jack's money. Jack had also arrived at the meeting point with Tu Tien. He parked the car on the side of the road and went to a shady tree to wait for Tu Tien. In the harsh afternoon sun, Jack still patiently waited for his lover. After waiting for a while, Jack saw Tu Tien. He ran to her and helped her take the bamboo basket off his back. Jack asked with concern if Tu Tien was tired from harvesting today. Tu Tien replied that it was a bit hot today and she was a bit tired from harvesting. Then she smiled and told Jack that she had bought him a gift today, but he had to wait a bit longer to get to the farm before she could let him peel it. Jack smiled and told her to sit in the cool place. He would take her to the farm. Sitting watching the car, Tu Tien told Jack about the day she went to harvest lychees. She said she had left some lychees for him in the bamboo basket. On the way to the farm, the two of them talked happily, telling each other about what they had done this morning. After a while, the two of them arrived at the farm. Jack parked the car on the side of the road and both of them went inside. Jack helped Tu Tien carry the bamboo basket while Tu Tien still couldn't forget the gift. She always held it close to her so that she could let Jack unwrap it later. Inside the farm, Tu Tien's father-in-law was working enthusiastically in the middle of the construction site, which was still littered with bricks and stones. He carefully bent down to pick up each piece of broken brick and put it in the small cart in front. Sweat was dripping down his forehead, but his face still shone with patience and a sense of responsibility. With a diligent appearance and tireless hands, he cleaned up the scattered bricks to take away, contributing to keeping the construction area neat and clean. When Tu Tien's father-in-law went to dump the bricks, Jack and Tu Tien also arrived. Tu Tien quickly ran to help her father-in-law push the brick cart while Jack invited him to sit next to her. Jack asked him why he didn't stay home and rest but came up here to work. He smiled and said that staying home alone was boring, so he came out here to help the workers clean up to relieve his boredom. Then Tu Tien came over and took out a plastic bag from her bamboo basket. She showed it to her father-in-law and said that when she went to the market today, Jack told her to buy him some new clothes. She wanted him to try them on to see if they fit. Tu Tien's father-in-law stood in front of the yard, holding the new clothes that Tu Tien and Jack had just bought for him. His face lit up with joy mixed with a bit of shyness as he thanked the two for buying him new clothes. His hands fumbled as he tried on the new shirt, happy because it was the first time he had received a surprise gift. Tu Tien stood beside him, smiling gently, patiently helping him adjust the hem of his shirt and buttoning it carefully. Jack also looked at him with warm eyes. In that moment, simple happiness spread, making the atmosphere more intimate and cozy than ever. After trying on the clothes, the three of them chatted happily together. They looked towards the house they were working on to see the workers working hard. Tu Tien's father-in-law stood up and told the two of them to just stand there and relax while he went in to clean up the remaining bricks and see if the workers needed any help. As soon as her father-in-law left, Tu Tien took out the gift box she had prepared for Jack. Tu Tien smiled gently, holding the small, pretty gift box with both hands and handed it to Jack. Jack received the gift box from Tu Tien, his hands trembling slightly with curiosity. Jack looked at it with unexpected joy. Then he turned around, his eyes filled with love. He gently placed a passionate kiss on Tu Tien's forehead. In lieu of sincere thanks and happiness filled his heart. Then he carefully opened each layer of wrapping paper outside the gift box. Tu Tien's eyes sparkled, both nervous and eager to wait for Jack to open the gift. Both of them tilted their heads to look at the gift box. Clear laughter rang out as the ribbon gradually untied, revealing the gift inside. Tu Tien's father-in-law stood from afar watching the two of them. When he saw them happy, he secretly rejoiced and clapped his hands to congratulate Tu Tien on finding the right person who always cared for her and was willing to do everything for her. Jack smiled brightly when he saw the gift, a brand new, neat and luxurious school bag. He carefully admired every seam of the bag, his eyes filled with delight and gratitude. Tu Tien stood beside Jack, also happy to see him happy like a child. Then, the two of them transformed into an imaginary scene. Jack in a neat appearance, holding the school bag that Tu Tien gave him, walking confidently as if he was meeting an important partner. Tu Tien laughed happily, and Jack glanced at her, his eyes filled with love. Jack thanked Tu Tien for the meaningful gift she gave him. Tu Tien immediately said that the gift she gave him today was nothing compared to what Jack had done for her all this time. Jack happily hugged Tu Tien in his arms. The two of them stood there hugging each other very happily and comfortably, surrounded by the congratulatory applause of the workers working there when they witnessed such a beautiful love.